Hey y'all, how you doing? Hope you're doing absolutely amazing. So today I want to just start off by talking about a story. I want you to picture a young child, let's say 6 months old. And we're going to go through its age or through its lifespan a little bit. I want you to pick the most healthy, perfect boy or girl, whatever skin color you want, you can possibly imagine. This is a really, really smart child, far smarter than the average person. This child was just born naturally gifted, good looking, physically fit, constantly growing, learning how to walk, walking better than most people at an earlier age, catching on to different things, starts going to school and does pretty well. But this same kid, from the time it's born, is surrounded by single parents, by alcoholics, by druggies, by prostitutes, by gang members. That kid had all the potential in the world. That kid could have done anything, could have been our next president. But instead of people uplifting and pushing the kid and driving that kid to be a better person, it is surrounded by those kind of people. And then the kid ends up having to go to a public school, which they all suck. But instead of it being one of the better sucky public schools, it's one of the worst sucky schools. Now, I wish I was telling you some horror story, some fantasy story, some unrealistic story about how that wouldn't happen in America. But I'm here to tell you, when you're promoting government housing, that is exactly what you are promoting. Now, I am not saying every single person in government housing is that way. Absolutely not. But the vast majority of people in government housing are druggies or alcoholics. Almost all the kids there are coming from single parents. They're surrounded by people who are talking about not how to get the best job in the world, not how to build the next business, not how to be the best politician, not how to be the best athlete, but how to take more from the state, how to get more benefits, how to get the next big screen TV, how to max out another credit card. And you can have all the potential in the world, and it will be ripped from you and destroyed, and your life and your potential will all be taken from you because you grew up in that. Now, you see, we have so many people, welfare people, government housing people. We need the government to help the poor. We need to help the needy. And these are really emotional, powerful arguments that people make all the time. And these are good people making these arguments. But we don't look at a program according to what we want it to do or what it emotionally is supposed to do. We have to look at the results. And that is what the results are. Yes, there are exceptions to the rule. But that is exactly what the results are. Now, some of you guys may say, oh, I'm some heartless person. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, that's fair. But my background is working in government housing for about 8 to 10 years. My dad ran a business where we refinished countertops and bathtubs. We would go into these places and we would fix them and we would clean up the countertops and we would clean up the tubs. And you've never seen such disasters in your entire life. These people had nicer vehicles than my dad and I had to drive, and we were running a business. But they were on government assistance, and they oftentimes were driving nicer vehicles than my dad and I could afford. Oftentimes they had, I shouldn't say oftentimes, I would say practically every unit I can ever imagine going into, every single one of them had a better TV than we had. But we were the ones out there working our tails off, running a business, dealing with tax audits, dealing with all the rules, dealing with all the regulations, working 60 to 80 hours a week. That kid, those kids growing up in that atmosphere are surrounded by downers, surrounded by losers. They're doomed from birth. Let's say they finally get out of the system, they finally drop out of school, they finally graduate, they finally say, I've had enough. I want to get out of the system. I want to go get a job. Yes, I'm finally going to get a job. I am going to get away from this government control and I am going to see freedom. And they try to get a job. And an employer like myself or an employer like my dad or anyone else. The government forces us and tells us, no, you are not allowed to hire people that are below $8 an hour. You are not allowed to hire people that are below $15 an hour. This is the minimum wage. You have to discriminate against everyone that is under $15 an hour, that is not worth that much money. So that kid comes up to me. He has no money. He has a horrible upbringing. And I look at him and I go, this guy has no record of showing up on a job on time. He has no record of being a hard worker. His parents do not have a record of knowing anything about construction or knowing things about whatever my business is. And I go, I have to hire this guy for $15 an hour? I have to hire this guy for $8 an hour? What can the guy do? He can push a broom. Everything he does, I'm going to have to teach him, which is fine. I'm willing to pay him $5 an hour. I'm willing to have him earn those skills. Make it 6 down the road, 7 down the road, 8 down the road. Have him manage my company down the road, making $100,000 a year, $150,000 a year. Hopefully down the road he'll be running a company. But that opportunity is taken from him through government force, again, by the most honest people, or I shouldn't say the most honest people, the most sincere people who are trying to help. We need to help the poor. We need to promote the minimum wage. So they support the minimum wage, which drives employers from being able to help the poor and the needy. So the government screws the kid from very birth. And then when the kid finally tries to get out of the system, he's screwed again because of government again. And that same kid now goes, oh, well, what am I going to do? Well, I know I can go sell drugs. I know I can be a gang member. I know I can be a prostitute. That's what I know. I can go back on the welfare dole. I can go back to government housing. When we talk about actually having emotion and compassion for people, for the poor, for the needy, it needs to be more than words. It needs to be actions. We need to actually look at results, not just say, hey, we're taking money from you through force and giving it to that person and we're helping them. No, you're not. Yes, there are exceptions to the rule. And yes, thankfully, there are some exceptions to the rule. Not everyone that ends up on government housing ends up staying there for forever. Not everyone takes advantage of the system. I'm not saying that happens every single time. But yes, there are a tremendous amount of people that do. And it's not only just them. It is every single generation that they're producing is more of the same. People that do not have skills. They can't sell. They can't work hard. They don't know how to show up on time. They don't know how to be consistent because these are all things that they cannot be taught from their parents. Public schools sure don't teach them. And now employers are not even allowed to hire them because they're supposed to discriminate against them. Now, if you think I'm some compassionate, horrible, evil person, I'm not rich. You can look at my place. I've got a 1-bedroom place that if I spun my phone around, you'd see the entire thing. It is small. I was so broke and so poor, I was sleeping out of my car under a bridge. I had a Mazda 626, I believe it was a 1987. Sounded like a tank when I started it. It was so horrible. It was worth $300 with a full tank of gas. That's my upbringing. My upbringing isn't all riches and, oh, I've never been poor. Now, I never used government assistance. I didn't believe in taking someone else's money for my own self. I believed in using the church. I believed in using family members. I believed in using friends. But I didn't believe in using other people's money that someone else took by force. My wife, she comes from government housing. When I met her, she lived in government housing. We got married. She no longer does. She lives with me. We live on our own, thankfully. But we need to recognize the results of actions and not just do this feel good. Oh, well, I promote welfare. Yeah. I believe in taking your money and paying for that person. Hurt the rich. All we're doing is hurting the rich. No, we're not hurting the rich. We're hurting the poor. The poor they can lose money. It's not going to, or the rich, they can lose money. It's not going to affect them. They're still driven. Their kids are still getting raised in good atmospheres. They're still going to private schools. They're still surrounded by wealthy people who are go-getters. The people who are getting screwed are the poor. The same people that you are saying you want to help. And a lot of you are saying you want to help them sincerely. Welfare does not help the poor and the needy. In general, of course, we're talking about in general. So we don't go and look at the exception to the rule. We don't go and say, hey, we just treated the 1,000 people and 999 of them died, but we got that one exception, so let's keep doing more of the same. That's insanity. Let's promote critical thinking. Let's promote reasoning. Let's actually look at two sides of a story before we actually say, yeah, minimum wage, that really helps the poor. When all it does is discriminate against the poor. Research. Study two sides of one issue before having an opinion on it. Minimum wage. There's two sides of that story. Google, YouTube, all the great things about minimum wage. Why the minimum wage sucks. Boom. You can have two different sides. You can educate yourself real quick. Bam. Same thing with welfare. Yes, there are people who do not believe in those programs, who are truly sincere and truly want to help the poor, truly want to help the needy. In fact, I would argue that the more educated people, and I do not say this lightly, I'm not trying to say, oh, you're not educated, but I am saying that the more educated people on those topics do not support those programs because they actually care about the poor and they actually recognize, hey, if you keep handing people stuff, you take their pride away. Oh, you want one last example? We'll end up with one last example. I've grown up around an Indian reservation most of my life. In Washington State, I was a few miles away from an Indian reservation. In North Dakota, I was a few miles away from an Indian reservation. Tulalip and Trenton. Okay? You want to talk about destroying people and destroying pride? Look at an Indian reservation. These were people that were so proud, so powerful, so amazing that we were scared to death of them, that they put up such a fight against us without half the ammunition that we had, without half the technology, without the nice clothes that we had. We could go out in the snow and the cold. We had way nicer outfits, and these guys scared the tar out of us. They killed thousands and thousands of us. They defended their land against us, and we treated them like crap, and we killed them off. And they had pride, and they kept fighting, and they were absolutely a force to be reckoned with, even though they did not have the clothing, the ammunition, the weapons, or the supplies. Now what do we have? We give them free money. Oh, we'll just give you housing and we'll give you money. You'll be good to go. That's going to make us feel better. And what have we done to the Indians? Again, there are exceptions to the rule. But look at Indians now. They are slobs. They've got duct tape on their windows. They've got bungee cords on their hinges. They are lazy. They are undereducated. And this has been going on for generation after generation after generation. If you're not going to learn from that, don't pretend. Don't say you care about the poor. Don't say you care about the needy. Because your words and your actions are two different things. That is all I have, guys. If you guys want more videos like this, please hit subscribe. Hit the notification button after you subscribe so you can get more videos like this. If you guys want, I'm sorry, if you don't like this video, give me a thumbs down. Tell me why. I want to have detailed conversations. I want to have dialogue on this page. Let's promote free thinking. Let's promote thought. If you guys love the video, give me a thumbs up. I truly appreciate it. That is all I've got. Brandon, signing out. Peace out.